Another massive storm roars through the south, taking dead aim on Atlanta. Will it make a mess of the Super Bowl weekend? Decision 2000, the final push for New Hampshire. Can Bush catch McCain? The fight between Gore and Bradley increasingly bitter. In depth tonight, dangerous connection. Why drivers on cell phones can be trouble for everyone on the road. And Lifeline, the oldest person ever in space. The John Glenn experiment does hold good news for all older Americans.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It's the biggest weekend for professional football, the extravaganza of the Super Bowl in Atlanta. And it's a vitally important weekend in the presidential campaign. And guess what? A huge winter storm is headed for both events. It has been roaring across the deep south with a bead on Atlanta just in time to follow up travel at what will be America's biggest party this weekend. We begin with that storm and NBC's Bob Dotson.
The massive storm is paralyzing the south, glazing roads with a deadly mix of ice and snow. More than a foot in Arkansas and Mississippi, at least 5 dead. Officials are dreading the final price tag. Georgia already spending $55 million to restore power from an ice storm last weekend. That same storm draining North Carolina's entire yearly snow removal budget. $15 million in 1 week. And the dangerous weather is threatening to make a mess of the entire Super Bowl weekend. 30% of the flights into Atlanta now canceled or delayed.
Thursday night, canceled. Friday morning, canceled. Friday midday, canceled.
And it's not just Super Bowl travelers. Atlanta has the busiest airport in the country. Hundreds of thousands connect to other flights here. Airlines don't want passengers stranded with hotels already booked solid.
The majority of the people who had planned to come to the Super Bowl and have tickets to the game are already in the city.
A city which could lose as much as $250 million if fans can't get around. Golf courses have plenty of tee times. 250 cancellations. Every business is keeping a close eye on the weather.
It could be rain, it could be sleet, but they don't know. They're just making a guess.
Forecasters predict the storm will turn north this weekend and crawl up the East Coast, bringing more weather misery to North Carolina, just now digging out from the worst blizzard in its history. Why back-to-back storms along the same path?
The jet stream has been forced much further south than normal. That's helped set up the war zone between the cold air and the warm air near the coast, which favors storms.
And for the second time in a week, the East Coast could be the big loser, leaving everyone to wonder which will be the bigger battle this weekend, the game or the storm. Bob Dotson, NBC News, Atlanta.
In New Hampshire, which is already under a layer of cold snow and the hot air that comes with the presidential campaign, the countdown to Tuesday is increasingly critical for a number of the candidates, especially Bill Bradley for the Democrats and John McCain for the Republicans. Without a win here, it's tough for them to make the long road to the nomination. NBC's Ann Thompson and Claire Shipman on the campaign trail tonight. Claire, we're going to begin with you and the frontrunners.
Tom, heading into this final weekend in a very windy New Hampshire tonight, Governor George Bush is still slightly behind Senator John McCain in most polls, and Al Gore has a firm lead over Bill Bradley. Right now, the Republicans are keeping it all fairly civil, while the Democrats, at least on one side, are getting personal. The Texas governor trying to pick up the snowmobile vote in New Hampshire today. Shooting a campaign ad the Bush team may put on the air in the final days here as they race to close the gap with rival John McCain.
Who says campaigning can't be fun?
Part of the Bush strategy today, indirect attack, criticizing McCain while also blasting President Clinton's State of the Union tax cut proposal.
It confirms my point that, what the point made the other night in the debate that he and John McCain agree on the size of the tax cut. It's not significant enough.
While Bush tries to convince New Hampshire voters to support his big tax cuts, his rival John McCain is crisscrossing the state touting his message of smaller tax cuts and fiscal responsibility. His pollsters say most Americans would prefer to pay down the debt.
I don't think we ought to lay that burden on these young children. Don't you think we ought to pay down that debt? I think that we ought to.
At the same time today, Democratic frontrunner Al Gore refuses to respond to increasing attacks from challenger Bill Bradley that Gore has distorted Bradley's record.
I'm going to emphasize the positive.
And the best positive Al Gore can emphasize, the economy. Bolstered by former Treasury Secretary Robert Rubin, Gore told local high-tech workers today that he is the best man to keep the prosperity going.
We've just begun to fight for the kinds of policies that will enable us to prosper.
Gore's goals for the next few days, a steady campaign without reacting to Bradley. Get to the finish line with no mistakes. Tom?
Thank you. Claire Shipman tonight in New Hampshire. And for Bill Bradley on the Democratic side, New Hampshire is a critical test. He can't afford to take the beating that he did in Iowa earlier this week. And as NBC's Ann Thompson reports now, Bradley is a different kind of candidate than he was just a week ago. Ann?
He is, Tom. Bill Bradley is barnstorming the state, trying to regain momentum, taking off the gloves, asking voters if they can really trust Al Gore. In New Hampshire, two Bill Bradleys today. Warm and fuzzy with his wife's granddaughter at a pizza parlor photo op, but tough and aggressive at a town hall meeting.
When you listen to Al Gore speak, you have to listen very carefully, because old politics uses words in a very tricky manner.
Bradley's new style this week, after promising a different kind of politics, leaves some voters wondering.
How can you deal with the sleaze factor without yourself going through it?
You call them on it.
His campaign calls this a set-the-record-straight strategy, and it comes as he falls behind Al Gore in the polls.
He still continues to attract, I think, a sizable percentage of independents, which is good. But the bad news is that self-identified Democrats seem to be going increasingly to the vice president, which is bad.
Independents make up 37% of the voters here. Today, Bradley picked up a big independent endorsement, former Connecticut Governor Lowell Weicker. But how is the new Bradley message playing? Self-described independent Barbara Eastman.
You try to teach your children that arguing is not going to get you anywhere, and then you turn on the radio and here's two grown men who are running for president arguing.
Until Wednesday, Bradley did stick to the issues: health care, gun control, campaign finance reform. But after losing to Gore almost 2-1 in Iowa, Bradley decided, as he puts it, he had to throw a few elbows. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's Ann Thompson tonight. The campaign trail wasn't the only scene of some rough going today on Wall Street. New numbers on the economy gave investors yet another serious case of what can be called the interest rate blues. Here's NBC's chief financial correspondent, Mike Jensen now. Mike?
Tom, a brutal day on Wall Street, a day that started badly, got steadily worse, and ended in a huge sell-off. Just 8 minutes after trading begins, the Dow is down 100 points. Not because of bad news, but because of good news. Today's report from the government that the economy grew at a sizzling 5.8% clip during the last 3 months of 1999, with consumers on a shopping spree.
2272.
So why does news that's so good for Main Street play so badly on Wall Street?
Well, the economy is very strong, and when that's a fact, and when unemployment's low, investors start to worry a little bit more about inflation.
They worry because when the Federal Reserve meets next Tuesday and Wednesday in Washington, it's likely to raise interest rates again to head off inflation. Probably 1/4 percentage point, then possibly another increase at its next meeting in March to keep the economy from overheating. Higher interest rates would help keep this record-breaking boom alive. But in the meantime, they hurt stock prices because they make other kinds of investments like bonds more attractive. By 3:30 in the afternoon, the Dow is down 200 points. NASDAQ also plummeting. By the closing bell at 4 o'clock, the Dow down 289 points, its 7th biggest point drop ever. NASDAQ down a staggering 152 points, its 2nd biggest point drop in history. So is this the beginning of a bear market, a long, steep decline? Most analysts say no, that it's just a correction, short, painful, and almost over. Tom?
Thanks very much. NBC's Mike Jensen tonight. And still ahead, John Glenn, the world's oldest astronaut, a guinea pig in space. Now the surprising test results on aging are in.
Senator Glenn not only adapted well to being in space, he readapted to being back on Earth virtually the same way as astronauts half his age.
What John Glenn's great adventure means for the rest of us, and the hazards of driving and talking. Why that cell phone conversation might be dangerous for you and everyone else on the road.
Life is full of important moments. They go by fast. Fortunately, there's Memoral by PharmaSure. Formulated with Huperzine A, it works like this. Low levels of a key neurotransmitter in the brain can be associated with memory loss. Huperzine A helps preserve this neurotransmitter. You've spent a lifetime living those moments. Remember your Memoral. PharmaSure. Inspired by life. Created by science. Only at GNC, Rite Aid, and drugstore.com.
Nobody does it like you.
The new Hoover Steam Vac Light Path sends hot water surging through 6 rotating brushes to stir up and pull out dirt others may leave behind. If you want clean, Hoover. Deep down, you want Hoover.
Something new is here. Something new to take care of heartburn. Introducing Pepsid AC Gel Caps. Just one gel cap controls as much acid as a whole roll of Tums. An idea that's very easy to swallow. New Pepsid AC Gel Caps.
Look! Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Ellie's renting again. And Enterprise picked her up again. She said Enterprise picks her up free. Free? Free. Now that makes renting easy.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
If you wear dentures, imagine how nervous teaching teenagers could make you feel. What if your dentures slipped? But thanks to the all-day hold of Super Polygrip, those days are over. I think that says a lot about the power of Polygrip.
Just when you think you have the latest computer, you don't. But for $37 a month, you can get a PC that's never outdated. A Gateway Essential PC with the YourWare program. Traded in toward the purchase of a new one after 2 years. Featuring the Intel Pentium 3 processor. Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
Monday, the hidden danger of bad weather, icy, snowy roads. But what if bridges defrosted themselves and streets melted the snow away? It's possible. NBC Nightly News Monday.
Dateline Tuesday. It was a gruesome family crime played out right in front of the TV cameras. What's your verdict? An all-new Dateline Core TV Interactive Tuesday.
NBC News in depth tonight. Why driving and talking on your cell phone can be a dangerous connection. The death of a toddler in Pennsylvania blamed on a distracted driver talking on a cell phone is just the latest incident to raise new questions. Is it time to put some tight controls on what some call this modern-day road hazard? NBC Jim Avila tonight reporting in depth.
America's twin passions, driving and talking. Businessman Jim Tobolsky spends 1,400 minutes, nearly a full day each month, on his cell phone.
I depend on it.
But this country's mobile addiction, 84.5 million cell phones today, double the number in 1995, and 17 times as many as in 1990, may be unsafe.
It is dangerous, and they do need to remember that their first priority is to keep their attention on the road.
How dangerous? A recent University of South Florida study concludes cell phones do have an adverse effect on driving performance. In fact, cell phone users are 34 to 300% more likely to have an accident while on the phone.
Morgan was the center of our lives.
Patty and Robert Penna's 2-year-old daughter Morgan killed when a driver using a handheld cell phone ran a stop sign, broadsiding the family car.
If that gentleman would have made that call before he left his parking space at work, Morgan would still be with us.
Next week in the Penna's home state of Pennsylvania, Senator Joe Conti introduces Morgan's Law, an attempt to make his state the first to ban cell phone use while driving.
We as communities and the society are going to put standards on the use of cell phones, just as we have on seatbelts and airbags.
And it's not just an American problem. Around the world, 11 countries have restricted the use of handheld cell phones while driving.
You want to scream at them to say, put your phone down.
England's Valerie and Robert Hammond lost their daughter, Carol, during a trucker's 1996 cell phone call. And here in the U.S., a crackdown in one small Midwest town.
This is the city of Brooklyn.
We have the handheld cell phone law.
Brooklyn, Ohio, 100 tickets written since September. The first American city to enforce the wearing of seatbelts, says full concentration is just as important.
Driving is a full-time job, or at least this is what we preach.
Especially dangerous, say experts, intense or emotional mobile phone conversations, talking during difficult driving conditions. And according to the New England Journal of Medicine, there is no safety advantage to hands-free cell phones. The mobile phone industry opposes new laws, says cell phone use is no more dangerous than eating in the car, but in pamphlets warns each cell phone buyer to use judgment when using their cells.
So you should suspend your conversations during hazardous driving conditions.
But America's cell phone use is at an all-time high, and 89% of cell phone owners use it in the car, a national passion, the experts say, is...
The LensCrafters $99 complete pair sale. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Introducing Taste of Life dressings, new from Kraft. They're enriched with vitamin E and made with stuff your salad will love. New Taste of Life dressings from Kraft.
See the USA in your Chevrolet.
Acceleration than the 3 top-selling cars in its class. So it's only fair to tell you, Sunday drives may last until Tuesday. Let's go for a drive. Impala, we'll be there.
Quick Dissolve Maalox contains calcium.
Get more calcium than regular Tums with Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewable Antacid.
The calcium is an added plus, definitely.
And it dissolves faster than Tums.
I can't improve on that.
Quick Dissolve your heartburn away and get more calcium.
Nature made me a person of many parts. Nature made me determined to make all of them last. And thankfully, to help, there are nature-made maximum strength herbs, like echinacea, which research shows can help support my immune system. There's no stopping me, because nature made me.
Sunday, the frontrunners, the challengers. Can McCain derail the Bush train? He's live with Tim Russert from New Hampshire. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Decision 2000 on the networks and stations of NBC.
The long-running saga of Cuban refugee Elian Gonzalez took a few more twists and turns today. The little boy's grandmothers continued to lobby for his return to Cuba. They were on Capitol Hill, while congressional interests in a vote to make Elian a U.S. citizen appeared to be losing serious ground. At the same time, the Florida nun who hosted that reunion this week between the boy and his grandmothers met with Attorney General Janet Reno. Later, she said again that she now wants the boy to stay in Miami because sending him back, in her opinion, would be another traumatic loss.
Attorney General.
Now to our look at the American family and another little boy with an even more pressing problem, a terrible illness. His parents would like to try an unorthodox treatment, one the federal government does not approve of. Now the parents are getting some support from unlikely sources. 2 of the men who are running against each other for president. Here's NBC's David Bloom.
In a cramped Houston hotel room, 4-year-old Thomas Navarro is dying of brain cancer. And his desperate parents find themselves caught up in a larger fight between a controversial Houston doctor and the federal government.
Who the hell's the winner if you keep jockeying for position and he dies in the process? Who wins then?
4 months ago, the young boy was diagnosed with an aggressive malignant brain tumor. It was surgically removed. And though his long-term odds of survival are slim, doctors in his home state of Arizona recommended conventional cancer treatments, radiation, and chemotherapy. Jim and Donna Navarro said no.
Do we want to put our 4-year-old son that only weighs 38 pounds through radiation and chemotherapy?
Instead, they came to Houston, seeking help from a Polish-born doctor, dismissed by many in the medical establishment as a quack whom the Food and Drug Administration has tried to shut down, but whose patients swear he's saving their lives.
Thomas does not have much time. He may be dead within a few months if no treatment is given.
The drug Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski developed 23 years ago is called anti-neoplasms, and he claims it works on brain tumor patients just like Thomas Navarro.
We have now children who are surviving close to 6 years, completely tumor-free and without any side effects.
But the Food and Drug Administration does not believe Brzezinski's therapy works, and his series of letters threatens to prosecute Brzezinski, warning, "You may not legally conduct any treatments of Thomas Navarro."
I shouldn't have to be doing this. I shouldn't have to be fighting for my son's life. I should be able to choose the treatment that I want for my son and go ahead and do it.
Enter the politicians. First Republican Alan Keyes, now Texas Governor George W. Bush, urging the FDA to reconsider, arguing it's the family's choice, not the federal government's.
Parents are absolutely worried to death about radiation and what it means to the boy, and I would hope the FDA would reconsider.
But most cancer specialists side with the FDA, arguing that what Thomas Navarro desperately needs is radiation and chemotherapy. Now.
At the best, it's foolish, and at the worst, it's manslaughter and child endangerment.
But Jim and Donna Navarro say they only want to spare Thomas the ravages of radiation and chemotherapy.
Our son's clock is ticking down, and nobody cares.
And the choice of treatments, they argue, should be theirs alone. David Bloom, NBC News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
I'll be right back.
Tylenol House Call. Information for healthy living.
Every year it flies in from places like Sydney and Shanghai.
I feel absolutely miserable.
I wind up with fever, chills, and ache all over.
It's the flu.
It hits me like a ton of bricks.
The flu is a serious ailment that could lead to hospital stays with pneumonia. That's why a flu vaccination is a good idea, especially if you're over 65. But if you do get the flu, experts recommend plenty of rest, drink lots of fluids, and to relieve the tough aches and fever of the flu, the medicine in extra-strength Tylenol is the first choice.
I am really looking forward to getting over it.
There's no cure for the flu, but you can get relief.
Tylenol House Call is brought to you by Extra Strength Tylenol.
We are healthy, strong, funny, energetic, even sexy. We take good care of ourselves, and we drink Ensure when we can eat nutritious foods like these. Ensure provides essential vitamins and minerals you find in vegetables, calcium like in milk, and protein like in fish. Ensure is a source of complete balanced nutrition and energy, so we can get the most out of life. Drink Ensure, and drink to your health.
Giving 100% is a way of life here in Wisconsin Rapids. So only 100% juice goes into Northland brand juices, while some cranberry drinks have as little as 18% juice. But at Northland, we always give 100%.
Loyalty. It must be earned. In many families, there are generations of loyal GM customers. In fact, once every 6 seconds, a GM owner puts their stamp of approval on the quality of our cars and trucks by coming back to buy another GM. It is the ultimate expression of loyalty, and, to us, the ultimate compliment.
Pillsbury Toaster Strudel to the rescue.
Where's my other shoe?
Come on and eat.
He's almost here.
Pillsbury Toaster Strudel.
16 layers of warm, bakery, fresh-tasting pastry and fruity filling that make your whole morning...
Ready?
I guess.
Look better.
Cool.
Come on, get happy.
Pillsbury Toaster Breakfast. Easier mornings.
Popping right up.
Just ahead at 6, it will be remembered as one of the worst mass killings in Tennessee. 4 young men gunned down execution style and still unsolved 4 years later. Tonight, anguished family members speak out. Also learn why these birds may have been sidetracked on their way south. Plus the latest snowbird information just ahead at 6.
Remember when John Glenn went into space as a grandfather in the fall of 1998? Many thought it was a well-deserved publicity stunt for NASA and the first American to orbit Earth. Glenn kept insisting it was a serious scientific mission to study the adaptability of older people to space. Well, as NBC's Robert Hager reports now, a good deal, in fact, was learned.
Doctors say they're surprised. At age 77, they find Senator Glenn withstands the rigors of 9 days in weightless space, almost as well as his younger crewmates. He sleeps fitfully, but in nearly every other category.
What happened was that I came out about the same as the younger astronauts.
In flight, Glenn outfitted with sensitive monitors to track his every reaction. Now, 15 months later, results of those scientific studies reported at the National Institutes of Health show, like most older people on the ground, he does have trouble sleeping. Here, a chart follows Glenn's vital signs for 8 days. Black areas indicate he's awake. These areas indicate his intended sleep time. But it's interrupted a lot. 2 hours here, an hour here, and almost an hour here. 2 hours here, and 2 hours here. But his heart does as well as the others in flight, and so do his muscles. And during the stressful time of landing, while the younger astronauts' hearts race at an average 115 beats a minute, Glenn's beats a slower, calmer 95.
We thought that when he was out in space, his responses would be a lot slower to adapting to space, and when he came back to Earth, his readaptation would be slower than his younger counterparts. What we observed, which is quite remarkable, is that his rate of recovery was virtually identical to the younger astronauts.
Glenn gets motion sickness briefly as he lands, but so does about 1 of every 10 younger astronauts.
And doctors find his leg muscles are a little swollen for about a month after landing from readapting to the weight of gravity. But his sense of balance is recovered fast.
In all, an excellent report card for Glenn and possibly for other older Americans.
I hope this is a forerunner of saying that the elderly can do a lot more than most people think they can. They stay in reasonable shape and can live very productive lives to an older age than anticipate. You don't have to just sit on a couch at age 65.
But would Glenn go to space again? Today he admits it's never going to happen, but says if he had a chance.
3, 2, 1.
He'd lift off again tomorrow. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
Heroes and one American legend.
Godspeed, John Glenn. That's Nightly News for Friday. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you Monday night from New Hampshire. I'll see you Sunday morning in New Hampshire with Tim Russert on Meet the Press. See you then.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
That very same winter storm system that dumped a lot of snow to our west is heading this way. How much can we expect, and will it affect your weekend plans? Find out right now on The Scene at 6.
I'm Steve Wrigley at the ESPN Zone in Atlanta, where Titans fans are warming up to the Super Bowl challenge. I'll have that story.
Plus, he's a convicted killer and some say a talented actor. Tonight, why Robert Glenn Coe